Happy Monday. It's me, Miss Spears, and I'm here with your What's Happening video for this week, February 6th through February 10th. Today in ELA, students worked in groups to read a certain portion of our book, And Then What Happened, Paul Revere. They'll be working throughout the week on comparing different stories and texts about Paul Revere. Also, they worked on what we call a jigsaw assignment where they became experts on their pages in their group and then they presented to their classmates their information and gathered notes from their other classmates about the assignment. So I want to show you just what students are supposed to be working on. I have just a handful, about 4 students over the 2 classes who do not have ELA homework. So that means most of your students or your children came home today with homework. So just so you know exactly what it looks like, it is this handout that you see on your screen. So they should have worked with their assigned group, whether it was group 1, group 2, 3, or 4. It has the groups that they were not in presented today. They were supposed to complete these answers. Also, the correct answers were on the board for students to complete and to work on. So please make sure that they have this assignment ready to turn in as soon as they get to school tomorrow. Getting back to what we plan to do this week, tomorrow students will read Paul Revere's Ride, the poem. We're going to work through that tomorrow during ELA. And then they're going to go through the cases of Plessy versus Ferguson and Brown versus Board of Education in Social Studies. On Wednesday, they're going to analyze a poem for American Revolution Lesson 18 in ELA. And then in Social Studies, they will have a graded DBQ. So as you may recall from a previous video, a DBQ is a document-based questions. And there's really no way for them to study and prepare for it, because for them to study and prepare perfectly, they would have to have access to the sources. So what'll happen is they'll get the sources in this DBQ or any DBQ, and then they'll have to go through and answer the questions that are being asked about that particular source. So all of the questions are towards voting rights, which we started discussing last week in class, and we discussed today. So if you do want to prepare some, students can go to my Google Classroom and review the assignments and look at the lesson slides like for today, since we talked about voting rights, and they can review those and review the videos to learn a little bit more. That way they have a basic understanding of the voting rights and the amendment changes in the Constitution for voting for women and for people of color. And then that way they can come in prepared with that information that can assist them when responding to questions on the DBQ. So that's the best way to prepare your child for that assessment that is this Wednesday. Thursday, students will have a cold read, plus we are completing a lesson. Oops, I made a mistake. Not sure why that says 14th. Ignore that. So they're going to do a cold read. The cold read this time does not have a writing on it. It's just multiple choice questions. Therefore, students will not have the entire class like they typically do for the cold read. I did tell both classes that today. They will have 45 minutes, minus my friends who have extended time, 45 minutes for everyone to be able to read the text and answer the multiple choice questions. Then after that, we move into another lesson for American Revolution, and that's comparing different versions of Paul Revere's Ride. So they already know that this week we're focusing on those different texts all about the same story and comparing and contrasting how that story's been told. In Social Studies on Thursday, students will also have a graded assignment. Graded assignments are highlighted in yellow on the 4th grade website as well as in this video, but their Thursday assignment is just an in-class handout that will be taken up for a grade. So they want to make sure that they complete it in class, because if they don't, since it is a graded assignment, it can't be taken home. So they'll need to make sure that they're on top of things and managing their time properly to get that assignment done. Friday, we're going to be doing some in-class activities to review our ELA skills. And students have their social studies vocabulary quiz. Oops, forgot to highlight. Look at that. I just told y'all. And now look, totally forgot to highlight. So, our vocabulary quiz for social studies, that's their list that starts with a symbol. It has the incorrect date on it, but students have been told, plus it's posted on the board in my classroom, and they've been told every day that they've had the list that the test will be this Friday on the 10th. It has the incorrect date because the vocabulary list switched and changed for what words we were doing for what week. And students need to make that change on their paper at the top. So again, vocabulary quiz for social studies, you're looking for the list that starts with the word assemble. And that will be this Friday. We're also going to start reviewing for our Unit 3 benchmark test. The test will be next week. It's a pretty big grade for social studies, as well as there's a lot of questions on it. Mostly multiple choice, minus one writing that's on there. But students did receive their study guide for that today. So your child should have come home with this document. If they were at school today during social studies, they should have come home with this document that gives them what they need to review. Now, if you may be asking, well, how can they review? Well, there are notes that are in class. They do have a folder that stays here at school, so we don't leave it at home, that has information. Plus, between now and Tuesday, if they have a question about one of these things and they're not sure exactly what it is, they need to come up to me and let me know, and we can work on getting the answers, and they can jot down the notes on the back, to the side, whatever they need to do so they can be prepared. It is a closed test, meaning that there's no notes that they can use. That's why they've gotten the study guide so early for this one. You'll notice also down at number 4, I've already given them the writing prompt for this. So they can go ahead and start working on that writing prompt. If they want me to look at one ahead of time for them, if they want to practice it at home, that's totally fine. Also, here it is. There's our social studies vocabulary. Really should be on the 10th. This is the list that you are looking for to go through with students. It's also on our 4th grade website, along with the song that we've been listening to in class. And just a reminder that for ELA, you can look at the slides for the day, go through Clever, log into ILC, and like today we did lesson 16. If you click on it, you'll notice it says kick back and relax. This assignment has no questions that require grading. This gives students just a chance, and I'll show you kind of what they see, to go through the slides. And I do remind them of this often. Like, these are the things that we worked on today, that when they go home, they can be teacher and go through the slides and pretend to be the teacher and teach for a sibling, for you, for a stuffed animal, a pet, and pretend to be the teacher and go through. So when you see these discussion questions, you click on the next slide. This is the information students should know for today's lesson. You may also notice in Google Classroom that there is another assignment for social studies. This assignment here, students, if they did not finish in class, they need to turn in this slide assignment. And that needs to be done before students get to school tomorrow. So they have a text here about the 14th Amendment, and they can click here to open it up in a new tab, and then type in this information, and then their exit ticket. So just answering those 3 things on here and making sure to mark it and turn it in Google Classroom. This ELA assignment has been updated to let you know that students will complete the evidence chart first thing tomorrow. They will use their notes from today's lesson. The notes is what most students, minus the 3 or 4 who completed it in class, came home with, that you should see at the top of the page. I've labeled it homework, that it's due tomorrow, that these students need to have those notes completed because that's how they can complete this chart tomorrow morning in class. So please make sure they don't do the chart Today at home, just that handout and just the slides for social studies. As always, if you have any questions, please reach out. Let's have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.